Well, hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Edward Mills, the host and producer of this Abundant Mystic series. So excited to have you here with us. I am very, very excited to have Vicki Howie here again. She was one of the very, very first, one of the original Abundant Mystics way back in early 2010 when I started this series, and very, very thrilled to have her back on the show today. And you're going to be thrilled, too, with the insight and the energy that she carries, the wisdom she carries about the chakra systems, and so much more. So we'll be bringing her on in just a moment. Let's go ahead, before we do that, and get into our collective field, get aligned, get into resonance so that we can really take advantage of the energies moving through the field and on this call and the insight and wisdom that Vicki will be sharing with us. So take a moment to bring yourself into presence, bring yourself into full awareness of this moment. With each exhale, imagine that you are letting go and releasing whatever you might be thinking about that is not happening right now. If you're worried about something or thinking about something or in fear or doubt or concern about something, just let it go for the moment. Give yourself permission to be fully present. And you can really use your breath with each exhale. Just release, 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 and let go, knowing that whatever is on your mind will still be there when you go back to it in a little bit. And with each inhale, with each breath you take in, just imagine that you are pulling in the blessings of life, the blessings of the universe, all the abundance that is around you is coming into you with each breath you take in. Feel that filling you. Feel that awakening you to the abundance that is truly your birthright. Beautiful, beautiful. And come into alignment with the field that we're creating here, this co-creative field of intentions, this abundance that we are co-creating here together. Just feel yourself aligning with that energy. It's a powerful, powerful field that we're creating here that allows you to draw on that energy, to draw on that field, to feel into the abundance and take it in more fully. Beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. It is always my pleasure and joy, and I have so much deep gratitude for you for being here and investing your time in these calls. And we have a wonderful call coming up with Vicki Howie. Let me go ahead and share her official bio, and then we'll get her on the line and hear a lot more about what she's up to, and it is some really great stuff. I've been chatting with her before the call and last week, and just really, really excited about where she's been in the last 4 years or so. Okay, Vicki Howie is an international life coach who uses her skills as a certified master hypnotherapist and NLP practitioner, yoga instructor, and empath to help you break through any blocks that are stopping you from living your passion and manifesting your vision. She's the author of Boost Your First Chakra for Grounding and Prosperity and the creator of Chakra Boosters Healing Tattoos, which are beautiful temporary chakra tattoos that boost and balance your body's energy centers. Vicki's also the creator of the Chakra Life Cycle System, as well as a regular contributor to Conscious Life News and a New Age singer-songwriter with her musical partner, Jeff Manila. The duo, who go by the name Mantrananda, recently released their first healing album, Chakra Love. I am very excited to have Vicki here with us today, and I actually have my chakra boosters on. We'll be talking about those in a little bit. But please help me welcome Vicki Howie to the call. Vicki, thank you so much for joining us here on The Abundant Mystic.
Thanks for having me, Ed, and really good on the Mantrananda. You got it.
All right. I had to slow down a little bit and take it slowly, but I got through it, so we're good. We're off to a good start.
That's way more A's than should be in any given word, really.
Yeah, exactly. Except for, you're right. There's a lot of A's in there. All right, let's start. You know the drill. How do you define or describe true abundance?
Well, you asked me this before, so you've been really
I
consistent
did.
with this. So 4 years later, it's kind of two-part for me. There's two parts that I want to emphasize. The first one is, and it's very similar to the first time I said it, and that is consistently residing in your full energy field, the most expansive possible energy field that you can. And from the chakras perspective, that's from sky to earth, or from seventh, if we talk about the main chakras, from seventh to first, from your consciousness to your feet, to the soles of your feet. And then the second part of it is, once you're residing in that, as you're centered in that, to allow yourself to expand, to step into nature's abundance, which is always about expansion, right? If we think about an abundant forest, right, there's always green and everything's growing. And the truth is, rather than any end goal in abundance, the growth process, both inside and out, is what's really important. It's what gives us that sense of abundance, because we're meant to move. We're beings. We're a process, right? Not just a static thing. So those are the two elements, really being in all of your energy from sky to earth, and then allowing yourself to progress and expand both inside and outside. So inside, that looks like, ooh, I know myself better, I feel better, I connect in my love better, all the feminine sort of qualities. On the outside, that looks like, I'm able to go after certain goals, and I'm able to expand my ability to, for instance, if I do my yoga practice, the inside looks very connected to others or to myself, and the outside looks like maybe actually getting a pose that I've been practicing for years. And it's not to play down one or the other, but to appreciate the expansion of both. And if I could take just 1 second, I'd love to tell a story really quick about kind of what it's not. I think sometimes when you hear a story of, oh, that's not quite working, then you know, okay, that's what it is. And this is a true story. And I didn't tell you on the last time we talked 4 years ago, but it actually happened well before that, probably 8 years ago, before I created Chakra Boosters Healing Tattoos. And I was teaching, or I was a yoga private instructor, and I was with a producer on a really well-known television show, and with a certain grumpy doctor on it. And the person, you can't figure that one out, but there's many producers and there's many writers. Okay, so I was with someone in that arena, and the person was going through some challenging times, and I suddenly told him I made a decision I was going to move near the ocean, and I told him that I had decided I was going to move right near the ocean in Santa Monica. And immediately what came out of his mouth was, oh, you're so lucky. And this person was making, I don't want to even begin to conjecture about how much more money this person was, how much more capable on a literal level this person was to do what I was doing, right? But he said to me, you're so lucky. He was free of his relationship. He'd currently broke up. He was staying in a friend's house, leasing at a house that was for sale, so he had ability to move. Everything was there. There was total capacity to do it. And he said to me, you're so lucky.
Wow.
And I thought, wow. Wow, there's an example right there of we need to have two things. And I can talk about this more if you'd like, but our energy field is all about two qualities on opposite ends. Safety, and sometimes we play that down. It's actually very important, Ed. Safety and freedom. Upper chakra, seventh, is all about freedom. First is all about safety. They both are valuable, and we have to constantly balance these. And when you get more of one, there's a tendency to lose some of the other. Like when people get married, in our culture, typically they lose some freedom and they gain some safety, right? And sometimes then they start to err too much on the safety realm, and then things can, begin to die if they don't really go back to appreciating each other within that. So safety and freedom are the two opposite ends, and that's why I'm saying if you can reside in that whole energy field and appreciate all of it, you start to have really good abundance. Otherwise, if you're totally in safety, you're in fear, and you might be having a lot of material things, because the first chakra is the safety and material area, but you're not having the freedom and the enjoyment the spiritual qualities that will allow you to really participate with life. And if you're in the upper chakras too much and you're away from that safety, you haven't ground down into the earth, then you're enjoying this feeling of loving your life on certain joyous levels and certain connections to spirit, but you're not paying the rent. You're not able maybe to pay the rent. You might be feeling a lot of anxiety about everyday things like rent, and you're moving around a lot, these kinds of things. So does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. And it's so interesting. I never would have considered freedom and safety to be opposites. It seems like when I envision that spectrum, I don't see that they're mutually exclusive. And I wonder, talk about how, well, maybe we should go back a little bit and just talk about sort of, you have a pretty unique perspective on the chakra system, and this might in some ways tie into this sort of a little bit of a difference that in terms of this spectrum between safety and freedom. So maybe just give us a little background on your view of the chakra system and how and the way that you're approaching the chakras in your work and in your life.
Oh, wow, great question. And you're right, it does tie in exactly to what we were just talking about. So let me see if I can keep this as simple as I can. So you said mutually exclusive. So I do want to be clear. When you start to talk to someone like me whose spiritual philosophy is tantric, and I don't mean tantric in the sense of the sexual word, but tantric in the sense the tantric belief is there's no division between body and spirit. The tantric belief is that it's all God. Shadow is God. Everything is God. If you point to anything in the room, the listeners, if you're sitting somewhere, just look at anything. Everything is God. That thing you love is God. That thing you resist is God. It's all consciousness. It all starts with energy. So interestingly enough, let's say, and you've probably heard this before, Ed, when consciousness wanted to know itself, it split into this duality for the play of it. And this duality is the negative positive that we get when we have energy, when we plug in, right? And it's the same energy in us. There's this polarity that we play with. The interesting thing is, though, while we can enjoy that oppositeness, and that is really the true enjoyment of so much of this physical world, it at the same time is one. So it's one energy that's split up, and we can enjoy it very much by actually allowing it to be split. For instance, Ed, you and I are one energy that's split up, right? Okay? So you are an individual, you are unique, and I get to enjoy all the differences that we have. I get to enjoy you as a unique person. Okay? We're still one, but we're totally unique. And in the physically embodied world, the uniqueness is what makes it so much fun, because when we come from spirit, we know the oneness. The uniqueness is fun, as long as we don't forget that we're still one, because sometimes people see the uniqueness as a threat, because they forget that we're all one in this field. So in my chakra view, in the, let's just call it the old chakra view, and I have to sort of generalize here a little, so I apologize to everyone listening, but there's sort of a classical view that wasn't tantric that says, and I understand why, and I will try to explain why it arose. We had a very heavy, dense planet, and there was a need for us to move up into the upper chakras, not to be blocked and lost in too much darkness, okay, in too much confinement. The lower chakras are more about embodiment and somewhat about more of the confinement of life, which can be very good, too. Boundaries are a very good thing. And our planet has really sped up. But over the last 5,000 years, the emphasis was on getting out of the limitations of this skin, of the body. So you, especially in the yoga world where I am, there was a whole lot of emphasis on meditation and practices that would literally take you out of your body, past your body, or at least in your upper chakras of your body. And the whole emphasis was always on spirit and energy, and there was an attitude of the body was actually less than. It was something you needed to sort of surpass. Okay, and again, I'm generalizing.
Yeah.
To give you the difference then, the way that I approach chakras is that there's nowhere to get to. There's no body to get out of. You are a full energy field of consciousness. your consciousness in your body is manifested in completely different ways. You've got thoughts that have no physical manifestation, your connection to spirit at your crown, and then as you go down, it gets more and more manifest, right? But one thing I like to say, Ed, and excuse, this if this offends anybody, but your brain is no more sacred than your butt. Okay? You have a butt and you have a brain, It's like, think about that. Our culture, think about the words that we connect to spirituality. We say enlighten. Well, that means lightning, going up, lightening something, letting it get lighter. And here's where I have some problem nowadays, because the truth is, Ed, that it's really about balancing all of those 7 chakras. And since we've spent 5,000 years going up, I'm finding that many people, and particularly the lovely people who are drawn to these mystical things, need to come down. We actually, we need to bring heaven into earth, just simply because it's the other pulsation. We've been pulsing upward now for so many years, 5,000 years, that the downward pulsation is just naturally coming the way an inhale draws an exhale. So this is the goddess energy that people are talking about coming onto this planet. Spiritual connection energy we're having, going into the heart. It's really a beautiful thing. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and how does that tie into this idea that, you were talking about a spectrum between freedom and safety. So how does this tantric view of the chakra system help to sort of bridge that sort of belief from a dual perspective or dualistic perspective, that it's either or?
Ooh. Okay, so let me see if I can not go too far out there as I explain this, because it really is pretty simple. The thing about this process that I work with is, instead of 7 chakras and one place you got to get to, you just want to balance your 6 bodily chakras. The 7th is like a portal to the divine. But your 6 bodily chakras are pulsating positive and negative within you, masculine and feminine, and they're seeking balance, because they literally go 1, 3, 5 masculine, and those are the drawing in, the constricting, more externally oriented, let me succeed chakras, and 2, 4, 6 are the expansive, give me more spirit, give me more inner, feeling and potential kind of chakras, right? Additionally, you have the upward energy that goes up. That's the liberating current. And the downward energy that goes down your spine. That's the manifesting current. The manifesting current is the one that leads you to safety. If you've ever known, if you're really high, imagine you're high on a tower, right? And you're looking down, and you feel really unsafe. You climb down that tower, and you kiss the earth, and you're like, okay, I feel safe, right? So that's the safety side. The upper chakras, the high, the sky, the spirit, gives us potential and freedom and possibility and hope and all those beautiful spiritual qualities. So we need that. Now imagine you're on the ground and you're looking up at this tower and you're like, oh, or you're looking up at a mountain. I want to climb that mountain. But you absolutely have no way to access that mountain. None. So your spirit does get something from looking at it, but you feel stuck because you want to be up there. You want to experience that. So that's the spectrum of our chakras right there, and balancing that takes us into the nexus, I call it, of our 3rd and 4th chakra, of our heart and our self. So it's the balance between, I won't go into it too deeply right now, but it's the balance between loving others and loving self, the time we give others, the time we give self, connecting with others and allowing ourselves to be completely open and mutable to them, and also being true to our own power is the 3rd. So it's that back and forth, and this safety freedom happens in each of our nexuses of our chakras, the 1st and 2nd, the 3rd and 4th, and the 5th and 6th. But it happens the most down at the bottom, because that's where things are the most dense, right? Our chakras are the most dense at the bottom. So the differentiation, the masculine, feminine difference, is the most at the bottom, okay? So now, 1st chakra is safety. 7th chakra is freedom. Let me just talk to you real quick about chakra types. There are people that have a tendency to be very spiritual and to not quite ground. Now, this is a new group of people, and I'm imagining there's probably quite a few on this call. This is what I have had a tendency to be at, and I think that you'd readily admit the same, right?
Yeah, well, certainly for a big part of my life.
Exactly. Like you're putting a lot of emphasis. Like we still have those spiritual qualities. Even as we practice grounding down, it's sort of like you never lose that beautiful tendency. You just lose the side of it that makes it overweighted, right? Because as you balance it, you still have this great tendency towards spirit. So the people that I call mystics, and Ed, this group's a new group, and they're growing on the planet in droves. So you know the thing like the indigo children, right? Well, when did we start seeing that? You know, like more recently on the planet, the energy is increasing because of planetary energies and our own personal spiritual development. Spirits are coming in with so much, souls are coming in with so much connection to spirit, little babies, that they have more connection to spirit than to their physical origination. And additionally, if I might say, our culture has been less safe in the way, there isn't the safety, there's more, what's the word, a little more tumultuous. I'm sorry?
Uncertainty is the word that came.
Yes, there's more uncertainty in children's childhoods now. There's more moves, there's more divorces, there's not the solid family there used to be. So souls are literally coming in with a higher connection to spirit, a stronger connection to spirit, and a less of a connection, more of a tendency to go, ooh, this isn't safe here when they arrive, right? Because it's not the cleavers. You know, it's not the house that stays your whole life and the family. So what happens in that instance is there isn't a grounding, and that person, that soul, becomes more upper chakra oriented in this physical embodiment, in the personality that they are here. Of course, their full spirit, their full soul has the full spectrum, right? And it's always there as an access. So the other picture is the older fashioned way, which we still have. That's still the majority. Okay, it's still the majority of people, which is they land, they forget. Sort of the ties to spirit are a little let go on a conscious level, and they begin growing like a tree from the roots up. That has some advantages because it's natural. Versus the way you and I have come at, versus the way of skydiving down from the sky. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So does that kind of answer that question where you've got freedom on one end and safety on the other? The people that are upper chakra dominant, you can imagine they need to work more on being okay with the earth, loving the earth, loving embodiment, and actually grounding down and being okay with, and here's the big swear word. You ready? This is the big swear word for people who are upper chakra dominant. Okay. Commitment. That's the scary word for people who are upper chakra dominant, right?
Yeah. Isn't that the opposite of freedom? Commitment, not safety.
Okay, well, yeah. But see, what's interesting, Ed, is that you're defining safety as a spiritual safety, and that's the truth. It is, because we never die. We are totally safe at all times. We are energy. We are love. We are spirit. In this
actually, Vicki, that might be part of the issue here that I'm having is just semantics, because for me, freedom is safety.
Exactly. But I'm talking about physical. So let's talk security. Does that change it? Let's talk security, because people often equate wealth, which I'm not saying abundance, I'm saying wealth. They often equate wealth with security because they are both first chakra. And we know when you have too much security and you lock your stuff up a lot, it's very, very safe, but you're locked in there too.
Right.
Get it? So then freedom becomes a problem. So let me put it this way. Can I put it one more way? I think this really helps.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. There are only two anxieties. There are only two problems in the whole world, really, in terms of mental and physical ailments. Everything else comes out of these two things. Okay? And it relates to exactly what you're asking me about the chakras. And I'm going to you might have fun with this, because right away I know you'll know which is which, okay? The two quote-unquote issues that I see people having when I'm working with people is anxiety and depression. Anxiety, simply put, is all kinds of freedom with no security. Too much freedom. Freedom means, and again, I'm going to do a loose, energetic meaning of freedom, which means floating around, too many different thoughts, too much stuff, just way up too high, okay? Remember you were a kid, did you see the movie, I'm dating myself here, but The Red Balloon? Did you ever see that movie?
If I did, I saw it when I was really little, so I don't remember.
Yeah, a lot of people have seen it. It's like a French film, and this kid chases this red balloon all over town. And it was very popular when I was younger, and I'm sure some people on the call have seen it. And it's interesting that it was a red balloon, right? First chakra. It needed to be grounded. But it's running around town, and this little kid he wants to grab it. He wants to grab it because kids instinctually know what we need energetically. So this kid's like, I got to tether that balloon. I need to tether. And so anxiety is simply you being untethered. That's it. Too much upper energy, untethered. Then we have depression. And guess what? Depression is the opposite. It's too much singular energy rooted down, unfree. It's depressed. It's all about me, because it's one, singular. Everything becomes about you, and it becomes heavy, it becomes dark. And the moment you open your world and make it more about other people and you rise your energy quite a bit, you're feeling better. But depression is about too much, way too much Earth's first chakra energy, downward energy. And anxiety is about way too much upper energy. And here's the kicker. A lot of people have sort of things that doctors have called bipolar. I'm not big on labels. I don't believe in that. But we see that a lot today. And what that is simply what I have come to call endearingly the big soul, which is the person that stretches in both directions without a good center. So now they're totally in their spirit, and then they're in their body. And this kind of person often feels a lot of contradiction between what they want and what they do. You know, there's sometimes a lack of connection between the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. Because more or less, roughly speaking, our unconscious is represented more in our lower chakras, and our conscious mind is more in our upper chakras. Wow, that was a lot. Take a breath.
Vicki, this is really good stuff, and this is really new since the last time we talked, and I love this. It makes so much sense, and I know that people listening to this call or listening to the replay are resonating and getting this sort of bouncing back and forth. For a lot of people, I'm sure that's their experience, bouncing back and forth. I love that you call it big soul, stretching in both directions. And some people may recognize or resonate with one end or the other. This idea that anxiety is too much freedom and depression is too much safety. It's it just explains so much on an energetic level, and it makes so much sense that kind of where we are culturally and societally, that we would be experiencing these big swings back and forth. I love that you brought this in and that it came in. So this is awesome.
Well, and let me, can I share real quickly just the quickest little, here's the remedy just in general, okay? Because I want to give everyone as much, some people will be able to come with me on the chakra abundance journey, and some won't, but I want everyone to be able to take something away. And one of the anxieties I found for me, and again, I was more upper chakra, as you know, and I probably always will be. This is as grounded as I get right now. I'm in my 1-1 chakra life cycle right now, and so I'm very in my grounded field. So imagine me when I'm not in my 1-1. I was always a little nervous or a little bothered by the idea that I needed to get somewhere, that there actually was a goal, that you're supposed to rise above your body, or you're supposed, that there's this thing called enlightenment. It's up there. And for me personally, it's really beautiful to know. And then you have people that say, you know what? And I'm just going to be really honest here. Then you have people that say, oh, you're perfect. You're everything. You're already God. But in this phenomenal world, I wasn't accessing all of me. So I didn't feel that, So that didn't ring true either. And with this work I'm doing, it's saying that map is right there. There's nowhere for you to get to outside of yourself. There's only for you, let's say you have a mansion and you have lots of rooms. Let's say you have a mansion that's, got really big rooms, so there aren't too many. There's just 7 rooms, okay? And in particular, there's an attic. That 7th room is an attic, but there's 6 beautiful rooms. The question, there's nowhere to get to. It's just make sure you're residing in all of your rooms. Check to see what rooms you're residing in, and there's lots of ways for us to tell that. And then simply unlock those other rooms. And specifically speaking, when someone, and when I do, I think you and I are going to talk about the Chakra Abundance course, when I do that, I help people really easily not only know what they are, but it's immediately easy with body types, with words, with life things that happen that you can tell what someone else generally is right away. Not that it matters, not that you're going to, tell them that unless they ask, but the point is you just look around the world and you really see it with a different set of glasses, because there's this upper chakra situation. What do they need? Very simple, downward energy, what we call manifesting energy, the grounding. And, it's so cool. I listened to Jared yesterday, and he did some great work on that. He went downward with his meditation. I thought it was phenomenal. The energy coming off that was just, I'm a healer and empath too, and I know you are. And wow, if you were feeling what I was feeling, I was yawning, I was tearing, it was phenomenal. And so he did a lot of pre-work. So all of you listening to this call now, especially if you were on that call yesterday, but even if you weren't, you can still tap into the field, because Ed's been creating this amazing field. I'd like you to tap into that field that Jared created, because he already set the foundation for us in this call, breaking through some embodiment issues, because he felt in the group, which I would expect in a group like this, maybe not safe to come down, right? And the truth is, it really, really is. That thought that it's not safe comes from a different time, from a childhood time, right? And, or whenever it did. It might even come from a past life, but it definitely doesn't apply to now and the adult spiritual being that you are listening to this call now. Tap into who you are now. Now you've really expanded, you've really grown, and you've built so many skills in your life. And when you apply those, you can ground safely now. You can be here. You can be present. And no one else is making decisions for you when you're an adult the way that they are when you're a kid. So it's safe for that reason as well. But if you find that you're an upper chakra person, the key thing is to start loving the earth. We're doing first chakra work, going out into nature, which, Ed, I know you love to do. You've told me nature stories, and it's so cool. I just love even seeing your pictures when we connect up, going to Yosemite or whatever. So that is really key. First chakra work, grounding down, loving first chakra. I have to admit, I'm a reformed, I hated red. So, Ed, I have a feeling I was more anti-first chakra than you, because you were even more nature-oriented than I was. So I think you might be more of a big soul than me. So, Ed, just let me tell you this story. I know that you've heard this story, but I think this is important to share. When I began to discover that I was lacking first chakra, I tried to work with it on yoga, right? I tried to, change myself through yoga poses, and it helped. But I would go to bed, and then it would be there again in the morning, that anxiety, that unsafety, that lack of safety that I'd felt as a child. It was just always there. And so eventually I saw about the Masaru Emoto's research, and Jared talked a little about the water stuff yesterday too. And I went, wow, I'm water. So if words change the structure of water when you put them on water, then if I put a first chakra tattoo on me, then I will finally ground once and for all, and I'll ground consistently, steadily, not on and off. So I went to Sedona, and I got a tattoo, and it was awesome, and it was painful, but this guy named Shiva actually did it, God of all, his name was Shiva.
And just to be clear, this was a real tattoo that you got, not the temporary tattoos that we're going to talk about later on.
Yes, we're talking pain, and it was right at the, tailbone area, what they call a tramp stamp, so it's worth it, and it really hurt, and it was awesome. And even the energy of having it done. But the thing that amazed me was the moment that Sheila put the template on my tailbone area, just the template, no pins yet. It just energy gushed down both legs, and I spontaneously cried. Spontaneously,
wow.
Tears came out without any thoughts. Okay, just. So I went back and I left my marriage because I had needed to do that, and I had been scared. I had been addicted to my husband's first chakra energy. And I changed my whole life at that time. And so I went, whoa, there is something to this. And it's consistent. It's on me for good now. So I said, about 2 weeks later, I got this idea. I can create temporary tattoos so everybody can experience this chakra symbol energy right on the chakra that they choose to boost, to give more energy to. And it was like, wow. And from that moment on, it came as a download from Spirit, and I was like, I didn't really argue with Spirit, but I kept asking. I kept saying, because I don't really argue with Spirit, but I did say, are you sure? I did kind of go, you want me to actually physically make a whole bunch of tattoos, and you want me to, and I just kind of, as I went through the process, I was sort of, in that sort of like, okay, all right. I'm sure you've had those moments, Ed, where, Spirit asks you to do something, and you're like, okay, I will. Are you sure? This is kind of weird. But
restarting this series was that when I was working at the Shift Network and, happy there, and I got the download, no, it's time to go back to the Abundant Mystic. I was like, what? But, I know what it's like.
And that's your pulsation. See, your pulsation, Ed, you went for more of that first for a while, more of that grounding and learning, and then you came back and said, okay, but now it's time back to the freedom. So it's that pulsation that gives us life. Try right now to inhale without exhaling. You won't last very long, or try to exhale without inhaling. So life is this constant. It is a balance. It's progressive. It's developmental. It's always moving. It's not static, and particularly it moves in pulsation. Anyway, so once I from the rest is history. I created that tattoos, and I remember on the call I'm kind of like giving you all the oldies of this series right here, because Christine, I think it was Christine Hughes, I'm not sure, but I think it was her who said that you are such a visionary and everything. And I was like, yeah, that is so right on. Because, Ed, I didn't barely even have a website when you were talking to me about these tattoos and everything. You're like always way out there in the visionary edge. And that is the benefit of being very upper chakras. The balance to that then is, of course, what we've both been working on, which is rooting down and making it real world so that people can, so you can enjoy your life, real world, and so other people, so you can bring your gifts to other people. If I hadn't finished these tattoos, if I hadn't done the manifesting grounding process, these tattoos wouldn't exist, and they wouldn't be going all over the world healing people in the moment.
Right.
So it's our prerogative. It's our job as spiritual beings to make sure that we are not staying up in the realm of ideas, and that we're bringing those heavenly ideas, those inspirations down into this planet.
Well, that's really that's really the intention of the Abundant Mystic. It's that idea of having that full access to that full spectrum, so that you are touching spirit, you are touching source, you are bringing that down and rooting it and grounding it into the earth. So it really is that, you just described it perfectly, and that's why we're here.
The habit, though, sometimes, Ed, is that a lot of the practices in the spiritual world are the opposite. And those are great for the traditional person, and someone who knows they might tend toward safety, they might tend toward hiding, they might tend toward depression. They need those practices. The body type on that kind of person would be more kapha, usually, a little more substantive body type. And if a person falls in that category, they absolutely need those practices. And previously in our history, I would venture to say over 99% of the people fell in those categories. So that's why our habit is to meditate. Our habit is to do spiritual practices in the energy world. So what I find is people come to me, I get people who come to me from people who have done only energy work with them, and they haven't changed their physical world. So we start working with the body, with embodiment, with changing the physical world, whether it's doing practices through hypnotherapy in the body, NLP in the body, tapping on the body, tattoos on the body. You need that consistent, ongoing, manifest, physical, dense work. And I'm going to say something really unpopular right now. But I think it's really important that you and I know it's true, Ed. So I think we uncover this myth right now. You know as well as I do, Ed, that the people that are upper chakra dominant have a hard work to do. because unfortunately the norm, the people that are just born and forget and move upward, okay, and that's a beautiful way to go. It's beautiful. The norm way to go is go toward the lightness, right? So you change your thoughts. This is why the law of attraction is all about visualizing and changing thoughts, because let's imagine your chakras are a tube, okay? Let's imagine you have a clear tube down the middle of your body, okay, so I can illustrate this. It's plumbing, let's say. If you are rejecting part of your physical experience out of fear or whatever you're pulling back, and you're connected to spirit, then the upper part of your plumbing is working. But if we were to put something in the top of that chute from spirit, it wouldn't get down because the lower half of the plumbing is clogged. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what often happens for people, for the larger group, which are lower chakra dominant, is that it's blocked in the upper part, okay, that part. And so they need to open that up. They need to visualize. They need to see things and think about things and hold them in their consciousness. And they need to connect to spirit, because if they're making money but they're not making money with a purpose, with a spiritual intention behind it, it can feel hollow, or it can be depressing. So, and then of course the big souls, they're just clogged right in the middle. Right at usually what I find the most is the third chakra, sometimes a little bit the fourth, but mostly the third, okay, right in the middle of the body. So these different types of clogs, if you put like beautiful gold coins from spirit at the top for an upper chakra dominant person, then it's not going to come down. It's going to get clogged right in the middle. So I think it's very, very important that we remember that when you get down into those lower chakras, guess what? Time slows down. Literally, we've chosen to have spirit become very dense in those lower chakras. So that's why we have beautiful things like sexuality and birthing and food tasting so good. And we wouldn't have those wonderful sensual pleasures if we didn't have this denser physical world. But once we get down into the denser physical world, things move with natural progression. Like you can yell at a tree to grow as much as you want, and you can wish for it to grow as much as you want. But the only thing that's going to work is for you to love it and water it and let it grow at its own pace, right? Because it's nature. And down in the phenomenal world, we're dealing with physical nature. So one of the things I need to do to get upper chakra people used to is that it's a glorious thing to truly come into your body. I know you and I have had some good conversations about this, Ed, and it is a glorious, glorious thing for your spirit to be in your body, to have just closer relations with your family, to have sacred sexuality, to have experiences around meals and just good, common, day-to-day enjoyments, being out in the woods, it's a glorious, glorious thing. It does require, though, that we accept the game of some of the limitations. The game, and I'm going to call it a game because it is a game. It is a game. Consciousness chose to come here to know itself. But when you choose that, it's kind of like when you choose to play Monopoly, you still have to stay within the rules. Okay? So the physical rules right now that are so enjoyable, they're actually enjoyable, I'm not saying they're bad, are that as you get lower and lower into the chakra frequencies, you get down into that second and first chakra, and that it gets slower and slower. And so you get into a place of stillness eventually, physical stillness versus the spiritual stillness of the top. And you get into patience, and you get into commitment and tenacity, rootedness, the things that build character, right? And the things that are sometimes missing in our busy, busy world right now. And you can never regret rooting. In fact, I'm sending energy for everyone on this call to root now, because when you root, all you ever do, you're not rooting and committing to something that isn't you, which I find is the fear. So I'm letting go of that energy right now in the field. You root into your ability to grow into all that you are. You're exactly like that tree seed. You can't be anything but what you are, truly. The question is just whether you're going to come fully into it. And in this world, Rooting down physically is what gets you there. But here's the rub. It requires consistency and patience and repetition. It requires the qualities of first chakra to create first chakra. Just like it requires the qualities of third chakra to have third chakra. Each chakra requires, it's like you need a job to have a resume, and you need a resume to have a job. And so this is how I work with people. I just literally take them in there, and we use the tattoos a lot because the tattoos work with your body directly and consistently, right?
And with your energy.
Your body's
they work
energy.
Through your body into the energy system.
Well, Ed, can I just address that for a second? Because I hear this all the time, and I even do it myself. Is we have this tendency to do what we just did there and say there's body and energy. Your body is only energy. Your body is only energy. That's all it is. It is a dense energy, albeit compared to your thoughts. But your body is energy. So when I say body as a tantric, I mean energy. And when you know what I'm saying? It's like not all energy is body, but all body is energy.
One of the things, Vicki, that I've seen in interview, and I've interviewed well over 200 abundant mystics now, and it's really interesting to notice a pattern, and I'd like to hear your take on this. The people I've interviewed who have started in their lower chakras, started as lower chakra, more abundant people, and have found their way up into that place where they've now balanced the mystic side with their abundant side and become abundant mystics. Their journey in most cases, in most of the people I've interviewed, have been easier and faster than the people I've interviewed who started as what you're calling upper chakra people, the people who were, came in and are sort of less grounded, less in the earth, more focused on spirituality and mysticism, and who have to make the journey down to find that balance with the lower chakras. And two things. I'd love to hear if you've noticed that a similar experience, and if so, why is it, and what can the more upper chakra focused people do to accelerate that process so it's not as difficult a journey as for the people who are starting in their lower chakras and then sort of move up into their upper chakras?
Okay, so first of all, big breath for everybody on the line. Take a big breath in and just let it out. Because what you just said, Ed, is just so much. What not only have I observed, I'm sure you've lived it to a certain degree. I believe that you have a little more first chakra than I started out with, but I would still say, so you might be somewhat what I would call big soul, upper chakra, okay? Big soul with a tendency toward upper chakra. Does that so sound fair to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would be upper chakra with a little tendency toward big soul. Much more upper chakra. So I'm the classic. If anybody's listening and they're like, wow, I was psychic when I was younger, but I felt like I had to turn it off, or I've always had these empathic nudges. I can't seem to live in one place. I have a tendency toward anxiety. I tend to be, kind of a wiry person. The people of that nature, the good news is this kind of understanding of the chakras is home for you. It's home. You can land. The not as good news is that your spiritual growth now is too slow in this life, is to release a little of that quickening and balance it. So it makes complete poetic sense. God and Spirit always give us exactly what we need. So if you're up and you're resonating really high, then the very thing you need, and you might look in your life to see if you haven't been attracted to these kinds of people, but the very thing you need is slowing down, grounding more, staying put more, committing more. Now, that makes me unpopular sometimes when I say it, because obviously what I find out is that spiritual-oriented people want more spiritual exercises. And it's the last thing, unfortunately, that's needed. But I agree with you, Ed. The journey is harder, only in the physical sense. But in some ways, you could say the journey's easier. Let's look at it this way. People that have to find their way up, they're lost consciously. They're lost in the woods in the conscious world. They have a lot of tools because people have been on this planet 5,000 years creating tools for the upward moving people. But
Mm-hmm.
I try to hesitate to say, gosh, look at them, they've got it easier, and I'll admit it, I felt that. And I've definitely felt it, I mean, I'd be lying to you to say I didn't, because we're dealing with the work that's actually physically hard. But, I've watched a lot of my clients, because I now work with both types, because I really understand all types. I work with all three, actually, and all combinations, which is cool, because I can meet people where they're at. That's what my program's about, is meeting people where they're at, instead of saying, well, let's do the law of attraction, which fits one type and not the other two, right? So the journey is harder physically for the upper chakra types. But all the way along, they have this sense of, I am one with everything. They have this feeling of, even in the worldly anxiety, they have this beautiful underlying knowing, and what would you trade for that? Nothing. So the work's only physical, guys. And now that people like me are coming, onto the planet and birthing these, tools that will allow you to embody in an easier way, because the answer to your question is my tattoo. I mean, my tattoos, I had to personally wear them one at a time and get my energy used to them, because you don't plug new appliances into an old house, right? You'll blow the fuses. So I had to personally, work with my lower chakras as I built up the tattoos. And once I got all of them on me, I wore them consistently for as long as it took until one of them would wear off and I wouldn't feel an energy shift. And I got nervous after a while, Ed, because I thought, how long is this going to take? Because I just kept wearing them and wearing them. And it turned out for me, and it could be different for any person, it would be different, but for me it was 19 months. At 19 months of wearing them, and for the first 3 months I built up to them, okay? So probably, 15 or 16 months of me wearing them all consistently. And only wearing the sixth chakra at night, and that's, they can go to the site later and find out why it is that we wear that at night. And you don't want people staring at your forehead. It's the only thing worse for women than having guys stare at your boobs. Because you feel like you're cross-eyed when people look at your third eye. So I don't have people wear that tattoo except at night, and I don't have them actually wet the tattoo. I just have them stick the sticky face of it right on their third eye, and then they can peel it back off. But my whole entire life shifted when I got my tattoo, and then it shifted again when I made all these tattoos. I created the art with my son, and we put so much love into it that the first shop I walked into, a psychic lady working at the desk had to sit down, and then she started crying. And then I'll never, I don't care. After that, I didn't care if the store bought or not. They did, but I didn't care, because I was like, that's the best gift I could have ever. I couldn't even have imagined a scenario like that. And she said there's so much love coming off of those that she just bawled. She was just a sensitive, intuitive, and she just started bawling. And so the tattoos are the answer if you want the easiest way, because they work with the subconscious mind. But none of it is entirely fast. That's what I have to say. You can get quite a bit easier, but not so much fast. Faster, you could go the rest of your life and not know that your job is to embody and to manifest and to go downwards with your energy. So it's faster just to know about it and to be aware of it. But there's still going to be a physical process, because interestingly, a spirit, I think, Ed, along with certain physical fears, spiritual people sometimes don't want to go into our bodies because we don't like that it's not like that. I just snapped my finger. We don't like that it's not, hey, I can manifest a miracle energetically. So why would I want to go down into my body where it's going to take, I'm going to have to interact with nature and with the rhythms of things? And the answer is because, time, which again, we can get all into that. Time's very relative, as you know, but even within that relativity, there's this thing about nature. And you and I could go on forever about whether it's real or not, but the thing is, it doesn't matter. Because for a person who's upper chakra oriented, that is the development, the spiritual development. Your spiritual development is to interact with the material world. It is to slow down and to that, you know what I mean? It's the truth of it doesn't even matter, because that is the balance. That is the lesson. That is the enjoyment. That is the reward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's beautiful. It makes total sense, and it makes so much sense that in some ways it's almost like when you're an upper chakra person, you're coming down into the time-bound experience. So, it may even be not that it's harder or takes longer, but just that because upper chakra people are so used to being in that freedom space without the time-bound reality, that to come down into time, it's always going to feel like it's taking a long time. Because they're coming from a place where there is no time.
Yeah, exactly, where there's no time and everything's go, go, go. That's so true. And also, but what I want to say is we need to realize, I do a lot of work with language because I'm an NLP person, and I've had some of my clients tell me that language is like my big strength. So I think maybe there's going to be some more stuff coming out about that in the future. But we need to really watch our subtle ways. Like even with us, even you and I talking, if I say lighter or heavier, which one's better, right? You're going to go lighter. If I say,
not necessarily.
Usually, but think about it, enlightenment, we really got to get hard on ourselves when we look at these, the language, like for our culture, what's better? For our culture likes enlightenment. Our culture likes, and so we also like fast, which is the upper chart. So when we say slower, automatically, just even in asking me the question, of whether it'll take longer, it seems there's a bias that's not as good, that everything should be fast. But the truth is, the slowness itself is an experience, is a spiritual experience, just like the body is energy. And slowness has a joy, it has a safety, it has a maturity, it has a mastery in it. And commitment has a mastery. These things have a quality in them that is beautiful energetically, right? And you can only get them by going in there. You there?
Sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So we have to watch our subtle tendency. Well, I want it fast, or I want it easy, or I want. Well, do you really? I'm saying if you'll go into another part of yourself, you'll find great joy in. Haven't you had something that's been challenging for you, Ed, and you're like, wow, when you're done with it, and you're done with the whole, like putting on something like this, and you have to go through so many steps, and there's no quick, you don't just visualize and it happens. You step through all the physical steps, and then at the end, there's a certain embodied experience that you have that's like you wouldn't trade for anything. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and no, Vicki, I've never had anything challenging that I've had to deal with. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's do this. You and I, we know that you and I could talk about this for weeks.
I know.
Let's do this. I want to make sure that we get a chance to talk about your Chakra Abundance course, and you talked about the chakra boosters in this package. It's great because you've included some chakra tattoos with the package, so people will get to experience that. And Vicki, I love. I know you created this especially for the Abundant Mystic, and so appreciate that you put all this time into creating this. It is an amazing program that you've put together. So let's go check it out. If you're on the Yes page, you can just click on the Special Offer Details button there. That will take you over there. If you are not on the web page, on the Yes page, and you want to go check it out, go to theabundantmystic.com/Vicki, theabundantmystic.com/Vicki. That's VICKI, and that will take you over there to the Chakra Abundance page. And Vicki, let's go through this because there is a lot of just really amazing stuff, and I love that. I love the picture of the one size doesn't fit all, because it's so true, and it makes so much sense. And it's interesting. I didn't really understand so much this idea of one size doesn't fit all. I got it conceptually, but as we've been talking here today, and you've talked about the upper chakra, versus lower chakra versus big soul, it totally makes sense that our path to abundance, our path to manifestation, is not going to be the same for all of us. And so talk about this program, the Chakra Abundance. First of all, let's talk about the live course. That's starting, I don't know when it is, May, in the middle of May.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about the live course. That's the first part of this package.
Well, when I got to really thinking about it, I mean, you and I have, there's a synergy, Ed, and when you invited me back, I just was like, I got synergistic again. I got like, what is the tribe about? You know, the Abundant Mystic Tribe. And I just really created this exactly. It's, in a way, probably everyone that's going to be on or in the course helped me co-create it on some energetic level out of what they felt they needed, right? And it's just a course that's going to be more about what I'm teaching here, which is, you know, it's not our fault that we think that there's one answer, like the law of attraction secret kind of thing, because like I said, 99% of individuals were that. We were sort of one size fits all for so long. But now that the energies are changing so radically on the planet and we are seeing so much spiritual growth, there are many, many people that are upper chakra or, and I haven't gotten into it in great detail, but the split souls, that where we have certain teachings and things that sometimes keep us out of our power center. And so one of my strengths is that I can help people really get into their power center. The way that Jared yesterday, I could really feel the heart energy, like he's really good with the heart, and I'm a love puppy that way too, but I'm really good at helping people get into their solar energy, into their third chakra. And so this is a program about taking a group of people, because I want to create an actual audio course to send it out to more people in the world, because these are ideas that we want to pass on, right? And so basically I'm walking people through this process of, okay, these are the three types of chakras. Here are chakras. Let's let go of what we think about them. Let's look at it more of a masculine, feminine pulsation. Yes, there's specific qualities in each one, but let's also look at the pulsation. Let's talk about the currents of going up your chakras and down your chakras and which one you like to do more. And let's start to identify what are you? So we go through this process of what's your tendency. Now remember, we all have the full field. We have the full mansion. It's just where are you living is what I'm asking. Where are you living in this moment in your mansion? And kind of what are your tendencies? Because the tendencies of people who are more upper chakra, they have a different, usually a different purpose in this life. You know, a slightly different. You don't ever want to lose sort of your tendencies, right? They are who you are, but you don't ever want to be limited by them. So we do an identification process, and then we go through all kinds of tools, along with the tattoos that I give as a bonus, to specifically start balancing. And I have worked with clients who are of the traditional, and I can help a lot there, quite a bit, because you can too, right, Ed? Because we know the energetic world really well, and they need to know the energetic world, people that are more lower chakra dominant. But the people that are upper chakra dominant, we also have learned the quote-unquote hard way, how to ground down. And then finally with the third type, with big souls, I'm working a lot to get them to have more center, more integrity in the middle, so the stretch of going up and down doesn't feel so massive. Okay, so that's what this whole thing is about sort of first explaining it and identifying it, then finding out where you fit in the picture. Then we'll get all kinds of tools on how you can balance, and then finally we'll actually go through. We'll have several weeks of going through those tools.
Beautiful. So that's a live class that begins the middle of May, and that's going to be seven weeks. So let's just really quickly kind of go through maybe I'll just read them, and if you have specifics you want to share. In the first week, it's sort of an overview of your approach to the chakra system and why the old model doesn't work, and that's going to be powerful. Then you're going to talk about the personal chakra abundance profile, and you and I briefly talked about the chakra life cycle. Does that come in during the 7 weeks at all, and where people are in their actual life in terms of their relationship to the chakras?
It will, but that topic was channeled to me 2 years ago when I was actually almost where you are, when I was in my 7-7, in my highest chakra life cycle. And it's a whole course, a whole thing. In fact, I will have a whole certification course on that in the very near future. So we'll only be touching on it, but it's pretty amazing. And it's it's just absolutely incredible, the simplicity of it. We actually are not just developing biologically, but energetically / spiritually in a very consistent way throughout our life. And so each year of our life has a specific chakra cycle to it. And as humans, it's the same for all of us. So just knowing where you are on that map really helps. And then you add on to that, one number that we look at is from your birth date, which is your destiny number. So we'll definitely look at our destiny numbers in the course. And when you have your destiny number, along with your chakra life cycle number, it's sort of like one of those maps that says you are here. So there's where you are in your own energy field, and then there's where you are in the big picture of your life and even of the world and kind of energy in the world, like where you are in your, where you'll be next year, sort of in your cycles. None of it limits. Nothing ever limits you because you're a spiritual being. It just gives you information of, okay, I'm going to go surf. So what is this? What are the waves like today? Let me get the surf report. It's not like, okay, so they're 10 feet tall. Well, you might decide, but we don't have that. In chakra life cycle, there are no 10-foot tall waves. It's always going to tell you, it's like just whether the waves are coming from the east or the west or something, right? Does that make sense? It's not going to tell you that there's a tsunami coming in, because there's no such thing. Our life just moves in these nice, consistent cycles of psycho-spiritual development, physical psycho-spiritual development.
Beautiful. I so love the way you've set this up, and I love that you're really bringing in some really, really powerful concepts to the chakra field, and you're doing it in a way that a lot of people haven't accessed these unique approaches to the chakras. And I think so this work, even for people who have studied the chakras a lot, is going to open up new perspectives, new experiences, and new embodied experiences of the chakras in ways that are really going to sort of move them in the direction of really being in that center space and having both of the currents, the upward and the downward currents flowing. So it really just feels powerful. Now let's talk about part 2 of the Chakra Abundance Program, and that's the Prosperity Partner Program. And share a little bit about what you're going to be doing to set people up with prosperity partners.
Well, I think it's just so key, again, because I'm about embodiment, I think it's key that we don't stay intellectual with these things. Now, because I'm an upper chakra lady, I can get kind of intellectual, but I know we need to draw it down. So I would pair people up with partners, and they would have weekly exercises. To be honest, Ed, I'm looking right now into a conference mode that I experienced on a really good telesummit that actually will let us do it right after our courses. People will be divided up with partners into 2-person calls and do the work right then if they choose to want to do the partner part of the work, which, of course, everything's optional. I would highly recommend it. And so I'm pretty much 90% that direction right now, because I experienced such a good time when we had little groups of 4 in the group that I was in, and instead of 4, we would break into 2s in this class so that people could actually do sort of some linguistic exercises, NLP exercises, all kinds of different, some shadow work, some different things together to actually involve the body.
Wow. It's so true, the power of, actually working together, because I know there have been times in my life when I've just wanted to kind of learn in the background and, think that I could take it in and take the lesson and make it work, but when I actually started stepping out and interacting, and whether it's with a coach or a mentor or an accountability buddy, it's made such a huge difference in terms of embodying and integrating and putting into practice what I'm learning. So I'm so glad and excited that you're including that as part of this package. And then the final, the third part is you're going to be doing some energy work. It's remote chakra healing and balancing that you're going to be doing with people in the program. So share a little bit about what the energy work is that you're going to be doing when people are going through this program.
It's just to get the group together and to get everybody sort of centered, because the midline in chakras, that's where the power is happening, in the midline. So I just do some midline work of centering everyone who's in the class and everyone together as a group, so that we're more effective as a group as well. But people will individually feel it. And, you know as well, you're a healer, so we're always doing it. I'm doing it in holding the center right now in this class as well, or in this call, I should say. So this is just something I'll be more right before the calls. I'll do that to bring everyone more together in the same energy field, as well as have all of us centered in a similar way. So it's unique because we each are centered in our own individual selves, but it'll increase the power of the field.
Beautiful. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so then the fourth piece of this is it's an audio course, eight recordings, and it's Grounding and Prosperity audio course. This is a course that you already led, and so this will be a pre-recorded download. But talk about this Grounding and Prosperity audio course and what's included with it.
Well, this course, I felt like I wanted to include this because before we go into chakra abundance, I want to make sure that everyone's grounded first, that the base is there, okay? Because, eventually when we do embodiment things, we need to be in the body to do embodiment practices. So, and I wanted there to be this sense, since I tend to draw people who are my tribe, as it were, is people like you and I had, people that are like, ooh, where's my place in the world? This other stuff doesn't quite resonate with me completely. It seems, it doesn't fit me, but this makes sense. And so because I've had those kind of people, what this is for the few weeks before we do the course. I want the people who sign up for this to listen to these audio modules. Now, this was not a course that I held. This was something I individually wrote and did just one-on-one. I just recorded it for people out of the love of just what I knew was needed to get someone into their body. And this is kind of fun. There's fun games in there. There's all kinds of fun games, like a game with trees and a game with collecting coins. And because when we collect coins, we ground our eye level and our energy downward, and we realize that abundance is everywhere. And we start to physically, physical wealth type abundance. Of course, there's all different forms of abundance, but something as simple as a little coin collecting game. I had someone did this, Ed, and then he wrote me. He saved it for a year, and he he had $54 and something cents. I can't remember the exact cents right
just
now.
From
when he
finding money on the ground?
From finding money on the ground. Now, granted, get this, at one point he was in an orchard, and his name's David, and he was in an orchard, and he found two $20 bills. He felt a need, a call, a pull to go over to a tree over on this other side of the orchard. He went over, and there were two $20 bills at the base of the tree.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
But I really believe, Ed, that if he hadn't had this commitment to finding money everywhere, that he might not even have been called to that tree. It was like his commitment to the game. And so he did it for a year. And it's cool to have $54. I mean, you can buy a couple things with $54, but that's not the point. The point is, you begin to touch physical money. You begin to see it build. That's the first chakra thing, consistently building. You begin to realize abundance is everywhere. If I just open my eyes, my gosh, I've been passing up $54 every year, And there's just a lot of neat things that happen in the psyche, in the body on a very physical level when you start collecting coins. So that's just like one of the games. I've got lots of mantras in there. We work with aromas, gems, affirmations, which since then I've become even more excited about affirmations, and I'm going to do those in the program. That's pretty much the program. It's a really full, vast program. It's not like some side item, but I wanted people to have it here as the base.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that. And then part 5 is the Grounding and Prosperity book, which is it's really the written version of that program, so people will be able because some people like to read, some people like to listen, so it's great that you give them the opportunity to also be able to go in and just read through that and then listen to it as well. And then we get to the bonuses, which I'm super excited that you're including the chakra boosters as a bonus for this. You're actually going to send people a set of chakra boosters plus a set of 6 individual first chakra tattoos to work on their grounding. And when I tuned in this morning, I definitely put on a first chakra, I put on a second chakra and a fourth chakra, so I've got 3 on. today, and it just, I've been playing with your chakra tattoos for 4 years now, and my daughter uses them too, and we just love them. We love them, and when you were on the show the first time, and I had a few extra sets, my daughter would say, "Duda," she called me. Well, back then she didn't call me Duda, but she goes, "Duda," and she would say, "I think I need a second chakra tattoo," or "I think I need a first chakra tattoo," and or we would she would lay them out and feel into them and be like, this one. And I'm like, all right, you need your heart chakra. So she just would tune into what was going to be right for her in the moment, and they really, really work. I mean, it really does. When I put that first chakra tattoo on this morning, I was definitely in a little bit of a flighty space this morning. So putting that first chakra on was like, boom, I could just feel it bring my energy down. And,
I tuned into you just about 45 minutes before the call, and I'm like, he is so smooth. There is just
I had put the tattoos on probably an hour before the show. So.
Yeah, I was like, he is just, it's not even like there's a show coming. He's just, solid. It was awesome. You know what? You just reminded me of something. What your daughter did there was another thing about the tattoos that I love. And the main thing is just that they're this amazing tool that we don't have to think about, and that can actually bring consistency. Because you go get a Reiki healing or something, and then you go drive in L.A., and boom, it's gone, So it actually stays on the body. But the other thing is that it allows us to actually physically play with these energetic symbols and colors, because I put the color in there, I put the element in there, the symbol, the Sanskrit symbol. It's all right there so powerfully. And we can actually pick them up and go, we can do muscle testing. And, and your daughter just goes, well, I feel like that one, right? So it lets us actually interact physically with these energetic centers, which to me is really cool.
Yeah, it's true. And like what you said about not even needing to wear them, it's so true that that just looking at them, you've got the images on the site there, and I have to say that they really don't do justice to what they look like in person. These are beautiful, and they're beautiful on the site here, but when you see them in person, they're much bigger. And they have depth to them. It's almost like they're textured, and they have a shimmery quality to them. So even if you don't actually put them on your body, if you just hold them and look at them and meditate with them, they're very, very powerful symbols and really, really work to balance and clear and bring clean energy into the chakras and awaken them. It's really, really powerful. So I'm so glad that you're including these with this package.
My pleasure. I haven't done it anywhere else, Ed. This is just for you. This is for your tribe. You were one of the first people, because you're progressive. Everybody in your tribe gets to be progressive with you, and they get to benefit from your progression through things. Because I haven't offered this on a mass program like this to mail this out like this. So I'm happy to do it. It's exciting.
Well, thank you. Really appreciate it. Now, is shipping included? I just want people to know up front. Is shipping included? And international? Are you shipping them internationally as well?
I am, absolutely. No matter where you are in the world, I'll get them to you, and it's included in the price. Okay,
awesome. That is great. And then there's another bonus of this. You're including the complete CD, basically the recordings that you've done for with Mantra Nanda. See, I got it now. Of the chakra mantras, and just tell us a little bit about this music and what's gone into it and how you created it and how it ties into this work that you're doing with the chakras.
Well, it's hard to do short. I just started doing mantras at the end of classes. I think it was 7 or 8 years ago, because there's those cycles again, right? Everything going in 7-year cycles. And people would come to me and say, do you have a CD? Or they'd actually, many, many, many times, they would say to me, what CD were you playing? I was singing a cappella. So they kept doing this, and you know me in general, I'm a fairly confident person, Ed, and it's that third chakra thing. But definitely with singing, not as much. I just felt called to do it at the end of classes. So it literally, normally the universe has to nudge me maybe 2 times at most, maybe 3 times. I kid you not, over a 4 or 5 year period, at an average of a couple different students every week, all the time when new students would come in, the universe nudged me maybe well over 300 times. Well over 300 times.
300, did you say?
Well over, because I'm telling you, it was
Wow.
over like a 4 or 5 year period before I finally said,
my
okay,
God.
I have to, and it would literally be a couple of weeks. So you start figuring out 52, a little more than a couple of weeks. I'd get 2 in one class sometimes, and then later so I just figured it out once. I went, you know what? I have literally had like several hundred times this has been said to me. So it's time to make. So then one day I'm there, I'm getting my hair done, and my one of my yoga students does my hair, and she's like, you know, all your stuff is really good, but your voice, that's the thing. That's the thing, you know, like when my daughter told me to come to your class and you at the end of class. And so I was like, really? I was just like in total shock. I'm like, really? She said, yeah, and this woman is a psychic, right? And she said, you need to put it out there. And I go, okay. And from then on, that was like the one that sealed the deal. I went looking for my partner. And I tried one guy that seemed obvious in my life, didn't work. Tried another one who actually seemed so obvious. And he was perfect, you'd think. And then he literally disappeared off the planet. Like, this is just so funny to me how things happen. So then I just put the intention out there, but I let it go. And literally I said, it was almost like a year later when I met Jeff Bonilla, and he was not really into this kind of stuff. He was a musician, but he wasn't into this kind of stuff. But here's the biggest irony of all. He had actually created, though he knew nothing about chakras, he had created a short film, one and only short film, to show his directing abilities and that, and he had written the script, and he decided to name the film Chakra Love.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
So we got together. I said, you know, we started in, it was almost like a dating situation, and I went, we were both like, you know what? I said, I feel like this is really a creative, like, relationship here. Don't you? Can you feel that? And I said, I would love to do this album with you. And he came, and he started playing, and he goes, I said, can you make that sound like Earth? And he looked at me like I was a nut, because I am. And then he played Earth, Ed. He started playing Earth. He just knew intuitively what to do. He had no, you know, hardly any spiritual background, just a little bit on mantras that he had done like 10 years before. And he just got it. And we literally wrote the Earth song the first time we were together. It just, you know, came out. And it's amazing. And this album, when you listen to it, if you want to know how much your chakras pulsate, you'll see on this album, each one sounds very different. The Earth is very rhythmic and earthy. The second chakra is all about water and flowy and divine feminine. The third is, again, fiery. We almost gave it like an urban beat. The fourth, actually, the music critic Michael Diamond wrote that it sounded a little bit, it reminded him of Every Breath You Take. You know, of the Police.
Oh, interesting.
And I thought that was amazing, because we were trying to get a heart sound, and every breath you take is in your heart. And
in your lungs, heart, that area, same thing.
Yes, it's like it's all about breath, the fourth chakra. So anyway, that's the whole story of that album, and so it's healing. It's a healing album.
Well, it's great that you're including all of them, because I know when you were first putting this together, you were thinking of just including 1 or 2, and so you've really you've deliberately added a lot of great material to this, and it all ties together into a beautiful, beautiful package. I love it. And just so that you know, I did upload a couple of your songs that we can play on the way out when the call's over. So I uploaded the fourth chakra and the third chakra mantra. So we can decide which one feels like the group wants to hear. So once I close out the call, I'll play one of them. But again, if you're not on that page, you can go to it now, theabundantmystic.com/Vicki, VICKI, and check out the Chakra Abundance course. And this is a huge program, and you're getting a live course with her, which very few speakers are actually doing live. So it's a real, you know, it's a real value. What you're seeing on here is a real value. It's not made up. You know, I would say it's on the low end of $1,000 for this, everything that Vicki you've put into this.
It's 1,001. It's 1,001.
Yeah, 1,001.
Exactly.
1,001 Dalmatians. And you can get it for just $147. And that is a definite special price for the Abundant Mystic Tribe. And Vicki, I so appreciate that you have, put so much thought and so much time and so much effort into creating this for the Abundant Mystic Tribe. It really feels great, and it feels like a great, great program, and so appreciate that you've done this. Again, it's the Abundant
Tribe. I love your tribe because and I've been part of your tribe. I am part of your tribe. So this is exciting for me.
Yeah, it's exciting for me too, and I'm so glad that you're back on. Again, it feels great. So let me give the page again. If you're on the Yes page, just click on the special offer details. If you're not, go to theabundantmystic.com/Vicki, Vicki, theabundantmystic.com/Vicki. And Vicki, it's interesting. We talked about doing a process, and we just got so into talking about it that we just kind of didn't do that. So. Which is okay, because I know you've been running energy. I've felt the energy running the whole time. So, people are definitely getting this on more than just an intellectual level. You've been, moving the energy as we've been talking. So it's been going in on a deep energy level. And of course, it's all energy, as you said. So whether we're thinking it or feeling it or getting it in our body or getting it in our energy system, it's all energy. So that's a good thing. What do you want to share? Is there one last insight tidbit? I mean, there's so much goodness that you shared, but is there anything that you want to share before we sign off, and then we can go into one of your mantras to close out the call?
Gosh, that's so open. That's too open for an upper chakra person like me. I could go anywhere
Channel,
with that.
baby.
That's the problem. You gotta nail me down. I just
right.
that I know I have a tendency. The idea is, I just want to say that we really are. We've come into another age. I want to say that that's really important. We've made a turn. We've literally we've finished actually the exhale. The 5,000, that was an exhale. We are now inhaling. And it's spiritual more, and it's about, the fun. And in some ways, though, but those of us who came into this planet to be a part of this, we need to take our energy down to really come into embodiment, into the goddess energy that's coming onto the planet. So there's this interesting almost contradiction of we need to ground into the planet and then open more from the inside out spiritually in our feminine chakras, right? That's why we have the internet, because the internet is just simply a physical manifestation of our heart connection, of our desire to surpass sort of a little bit of time and space and connect with each other. And so the internet is this example of how spiritual we are. And we all know if we get on the internet, it makes us sometimes feel almost anxious because there's so much there. There's so much on the internet, blah, blah, blah. It's all over the place. And that's the part where, to balance that, we need to root down. And I'm sorry for the people in Australia, because I actually had a woman in my yoga class that told me that root isn't the nicest word in the Australian culture. So I apologize. I just have such a love for that word because I have such a love for trees. So I'm going to leave you with this. Imagine, do a lot of focusing with trees. And the reason I'm going back to trees, I think, because again, it's all channeling through me right now. And by the way, if you're feeling a lot of sort of embodiment can-do energy, go with it, because that's what I've really been channeling during this call. A lot of come into the body. It's okay to come into the body and just do. Grow downward and then from there outward, upward and outward. And the trees was something that came up in our last call, Ed. Do you remember? Mm-hmm. You wore the shirt. I talked about trees, and Ed had no idea. And this is how serendipitous. Ed is always in the flow, you guys. You're with a good tribe here. And he's wearing a tree shirt. After we talk about trees for like 10 minutes, he goes, Vicki, I want to tell you, I grabbed my tree T-shirt this morning.
Yeah,
and I'm
it was
wearing
advice from a tree.
advice from a tree. And so I feel like suddenly I got drawn back to them, and I went, it wasn't a memory thing. I just got drawn back, and then I remembered, oh, yeah, that's what we did before. So I want to end with just this thing of a tree is a great analogy. Of all the sort of natural analogies for your chakras, a tree is a great one. And that, feel like a tree. Feel yourself rooting down. Feel that part of you that cannot move and doesn't want to move. It's rooted and solid and always will be. And it's growing even in its solidity. The roots are going wider and more downward. And then feel that part of you that grows up and out of that into that trunk, you know, your real purpose, your real direction, and then outward into this beautiful freedom dance with branches and leaves and maybe fruit or blossoms. But just feel yourself as like a tree. It's a really simple way to feel all of your energy. That's right, I can feel a lot of people doing that right now, which when we all do that together, you know, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words probably. And that feeling and picture of the tree is really what you're all about. That's my easiest way to tell you in terms of chakras. You are all of that.
That's beautiful. And you know, it's interesting. As I said, we didn't do a process. That feels like that was a process. As you were, I know you were just saying the words, but it just felt, I could feel the energy moving, and I could feel, as you described the tree as a metaphor, the rooting and then the purpose and then the freedom all together. And that gets right back to where we started with this idea of how to have it all, you know, how to have the freedom and have the rooted, how to have the security and the freedom, and that's the tree. So what a wonderful way to circle back around and find that place.
I want to just say one more thing, Ed. Yeah, you went back to the tree, and the tree is actually the perfect example. When we are in our chakras, then that's when we really experience that although the roots of the tree are down in the opposite direction of the highest branches, right? So there is that apparent opposition. It is the rooting of the tree that allows the tree to grow taller. So that's where you see, like you said, they're the same. So you can see that they're opposite physically. One's high, one's low. But the more you root down, because this is the one thing that when I learned it in my yoga practice, I was amazed, is that for spiritually upper-oriented people, we sometimes think commitment means no freedom. The truth is, the tree, the more it roots down, the more its branches can have freedom and grow upward. So I'm inviting you to look at commitment and grounding and being present in this body and this life totally as an investment in freedom, that the more you ground, the more your branches will reach the sky.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's great. A wonderful way to end. And I feel like I should have uploaded the first chakra mantra now, but we've got the third or the fourth. Which are you feeling we should go for?
Absolutely the heart. It's absolutely the heart, and because we just did a lot of first, and first and fourth are very tied in, heart and safety. So,
beautiful. Okay. Great. Well, I will close out the call and then pop that on. And just so people know, the quality of the audio coming over the through the internet and over the phone lines is never going to be as good as what you're going to hear when you're actually listening to it at home. So just so you know, you'll get the energy and you'll get a sense for it, but the audio quality will be much better when you actually listen. So, Vicki, thank you so much for being here. It is, as always, a huge pleasure to be with you, and thank you for putting together this amazing package and offering it to our Abundant Mystic tribe, and for all the work you're doing in the world to really bring this place of balance and beauty together for those of us who are abundant mystics. So thank you again.
And thank you, Ed. And let me just tell you that the song you're going to play, anyone listening, whether they buy or not, I want them to know that they can have the gift of this song at chakraboosters.com, because this is the song that I give away on the website.
Oh,
so
great.
I want everyone to have it, because I know you're big about giving people lots, just for showing up and listening. So at chakraboosters.com, they can go and download. If they like the song, they can hear it coming out of their computer or coming out of their stereo, and they can just go get it there. And thank you again, Ed. I truly, truly, you know how I feel about you. And I also feel indebted because you have, when this idea was less developed even, you were there. And thank you for allowing me to share. And thank you for everyone on the call for being here and bringing your beautiful energy.
Beautiful. Thank you, Vicki. We will talk again very soon.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye. All right, people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will get this audio queued up to play. If you want to go get Vicki's Chakra Abundance package, I highly recommend it. Go to theabundantmystic.com/Vicki, VICKI. Tons of great stuff there. She really spent a lot of time putting this together and bringing a lot of her programs together that create a cohesive whole. It's not just a bunch of different stuff thrown in. She really thought this out, and I talked with her several times along the way she was putting it together, and just really know how much she put into this, and really wants to get you a package and a program that's going to help you really begin to use the chakras in a way that's going to create more abundance and create more prosperity, and do it in a way that's aligned with your spiritual values and your essence. So I really highly recommend you check it out. It's theabundantmystic.com/Vicki, VICKI. All right, let's go ahead and get this audio on here. I'm very excited. This is the fourth chakra, so I'll just play this out, and then the call will end automatically, so you can listen as we play this out. Thank you again. Sending lots of love and many blessings of true abundance your way. Thank you all so much, and here is the audio for you.